Public speaking. Public speaking, ladies and gentlemen, is the greatest fear of mankind. It is said that most people would prefer to be dead than be asked to give a eulogy. Public speaking is now the most important skill in the 21st century across every facet of life and work, every profession and every industry. It's so important, the skill of public speaking, that its importance has initiated reports. A recent report conducted by John Bercow, the Speaker of the House of Commons, called the Bercow Report in 2008, was commissioned to look at children and the effects of poor communication and children that have difficulty in communicating, how they will fare out or how they are faring out within the school system of the United Kingdom. It made some staggering findings. One of the findings was that children that now it has ascertained have absolutely no help. Those children that are fearful and that are stressed or have anxiety. It further concluded that the same children will go on to be part of the most disadvantaged of their generation. It also had a finding that those adults, as they go on in life into adulthood, that they become more severely disadvantaged because of their lack of communication skills. But it concludes that communication is going to have to become an integral standalone subject on the curriculum within the educational system of the UK. We all know, or we know of, people in public life, not just on the global scale, but on national stage, that have had speech difficulties, from stammers, indeed not just fear, but they overcame their anxieties, their stresses, their fears, to be captains of their respective professions. Interestingly, they all sought training. Well, one interesting man I want to talk about is a man called Warren Buffett. And what makes him very interesting is the following. He's nearly 90 years of age, and yet 7 decades ago, he recognized the importance of good communication. He has said that the time and the money that was spent 7 decades ago for him and allowing him to get over his fear of speaking was the best time and money that he spent in his entire life. Now, for a man that actually has spent trillions in his lifetime, that's right, trillions, collectively, on buying and selling securities, not just for himself, but for hundreds of thousands of clients. That is a large statement. But I quote him, and he has said the following. You've got to be able to communicate in life. It is enormously important. You've got to be able to talk to people, get your ideas across. Otherwise, you're giving up your potential. So today, I'm going to give you a brief insight into the world of training, of what it takes to become a good public speaker. Having a knowledge of the anatomy and the physiology of the respiratory center, the speech centers of the brain, and the voice production center of the body is in itself a very empowering experience. Once you know how you as an individual are producing your own spoken word, but importantly, as you as an individual are producing your own signature voice, a very empowering experience. And then you understand that knowledge is very powerful, and it will be through knowledge and training that you are going to be able to confront your fear, embrace your fear, but importantly, control your fears. A further fear reducers will be that you will be trained in how to de-stress the body, particularly the upper torso and the neck region, where we tend to carry all of our worries, our fears, and our stresses. And then you will be taught how to do numerous breathing exercises, again to reduce your fear. One of the most important of these is diaphragmatic breathing. The diaphragm, an area here at the base of the lungs, is essential for good breathing and good speaking. And the notion is to take in deep breaths, filling up the lungs and the diaphragm, and hold and then exhale. What does that do to the body? It's nearly instantaneous. You've reoxygenated your entire blood system. With that, you will slow the heart rate down. You will have an instantaneous feeling of calm. And now you will be more in control of your thoughts. You will reduce your fear further by making sure before ever you give a presentation that you're going to do these breathing exercises and do the de-stressing exercises. And finally, you must warm up that voice. But that then takes us on to stance and posture. How are you supposed to stand when you're speaking? Well, stance and posture are vital. How posture is vitally important in the voice production system and in speaking, in projecting. But stance and stance alone, again, a very important area. You stand with your feet shoulder width apart, imagining and visualization technique being used to root those feet into the ground, imagining that you are sprouting roots. And then you will have no swaying or rocking or any of that. You can stand for a considerable period of time with those feet firmly on the ground and a perfectly aligned, balanced body. Now that takes us into the area of these hands. What do I do with these hands? They're in the way. But you are going to soon realize that these hands are powerful messengers, as is your entire body. From the top of your head to the soles of your feet, your body is talking. And now we are talking about body language. What is body language? Body language is non-verbal communication through conscious and unconscious movements and gestures. Albert Mehrabian discovered what's called the 7-38-55 rule. 7% of our spoken words will be remembered, 38% as to how we said it, meaning our tone, our pitch and our pace, and 55% will be remembered as to our movements and gestures. In other words, 93% of our body is actually doing the talking. Our entire virtual communication, 93% of it is non-verbal communication. So this is an enormous area to have to learn. Very empowering, huge knowledge. You can bring it across every facet of life. It will be forever with you. Now that takes us into understanding the importance of your audience. Now, vitally, you must know your audience as a speaker. You've got to know your audience. You must know. But now you need to know how to connect with them also. Remember, your audience has come to listen to you, not because it's you, but because there's something in your content or your background that they want to hear. So you owe to them. So let's look at a few ways in which you can connect with them. Well, you can give a very passionate, interesting and energetic speech. You see, they're emotions, some of them. And emotions are transferable and you will connect with them. But if you, as a speaker, if you're excited about your topic and if you exude that excitement, again, your audience is going to feel that excitement, your passion. But importantly, you have to have excellent eye contact and you need to water your audience for all the world, like as if they're like a plant. knowing and connecting your audience are a vital component of being a good speaker. There's no such thing as a bad audience. There's only an audience that did not connect with the speaker. Now this takes us into the world of the next step would be, how am I going to make that speech? It's, like, how will I draft it? That's important. But to do that, we're going to tell you about Aristotle's 5 canons of rhetoric. Now the first canon is what we call the invention phase. Now this is where you decide what you're going to speak about. The second canon that you're going to be learning about is called the arrangement phase. Now this is where you're going to be you're collating information, but you can use brainstorming, you can use mind mapping to give and put the best material to use. The third canon is very important because this is the style. Now you're off and you're drafting your speeches. But here you're going to be learning all about and have to know about rhetorical devices, from alliterations to metaphors to litotes, and use them appropriately. Then you're into canon number 4. Now canon number 4 is where you in fact are deciding about memory. Am I going to learn it by heart? Am I going to learn it by head? Shall I tell a story? Or will I use PowerPoint? Or maybe I'll use notes. Canon number 5, very importantly, is delivery. Now canon number 5 is where all of your skill sets comes together. Very important area. And that's really where you get to construction, to the point of delivery. But as a speaker now, you need 3 further things. You've got to have what we call ethos, pathos, and logos. You mean ethos. That means credibility as a speaker. Pathos, meaning you have to have an appeal to the emotion of your audience. And logos, meaning now you're going to use logic and reason and appeal through that. And finally, in your training, you will find that you're going to have and be taught how to declutter your speech, to declutter your language, and to be able to make a speech. Because we tend to clutter our speech and our everyday speaking with ims, ahs, ars, rights, because we're fearful. And when you reduce fear, you're going to reduce cluttered language and cluttered speak. Yes, you will be taught about vocal variety and how to use your voice in the most efficient, effective, and positive manner that is possible. So finally, ladies and gentlemen, that is just a brief insight into the world of training in the art and skill of public speaking. For all of us that look right across the globalized world today, we can spot those people that decided to take the time and put their energy and their passion into this wonderful training. And for those of us that have participated in that unique training, we have, and we can say conclusively, we are part of a small group of people in the world who are indeed really privileged to be so well trained. Thank you very much.